know where to look. and happy 20th birthday MFA program at St. Mary's, and it just occurred to me, this is actually the 20th year I'm in America. So I'm a very young writer, and I thought I would read some older writers before I read a little piece by myself. And because I saw the theme of the night, it was 20 years of mentor young writers. And so years ago I met William Trevor, who is a mentor for me, and he said when he was younger, when he published his first book, he went to a party, and there's this lovely old man, going around, and he introduced himself to Trevor and his wife. He said, "Oh, my name is Green with an E, and I live in Switzerland." And so Trevor's wife Jane happily, introduced him to everybody. Said, "This is Mr. Green with an E from Switzerland," and it turned out to be Graham Greene, who was a big advocate for Trevor when he was young. So I thought I would read the first paragraph of Graham Greene's novel Travel with my aunt, and I'm going to read Trevor's first paragraph of a novella called Nights at Alexandra, and then I'm going to read a first page of my novella, which you could clearly see I was shamelessly, borrowing from these mentors. So this is Travels with my aunt, Graham Greene. Oh, sorry. Too many books. I met my aunt Augusta for the first time in more than half a century at my mother's funeral. My mother was approaching 86 when she died, and my aunt was some 11 or 12 years younger. I had retired from the bank 2 years before with an adequate pension and a silver handshake. There had been a takeover at Westminster, and my branch was considered redundant. Everyone thought me lucky, but I found it difficult to occupy my time. I have never married. I have always lived quietly. And apart from my interest in dahlias, I have no hobby. For those reasons, I found myself agreeably excited by my mother's funeral. So that's Green. And so you hear that I have never married, I have no hobby. So this is Trevor's novella called Nights at Alexandra. I am a 58-year-old provincial. I have no children. I have never married. Harry, I have the happiest marriage in the world. Please, when you think of me, remember that. That is what I hear most often and with the greatest pleasure from a messenger's voice, as precisely recorded as memory allows. Each quizzical intonation reflected in a glance or gesture. I must have replied something, heaven knows what, it never mattered, because she rarely listened. The war had upset the messengers' lives, she being an English woman and he German. It brought them to Ireland and to Clover Hill, a sanctuary they most certainly would not otherwise have known. She explained to me that she would not have found life comfortable in Hitler's Germany, and her own country could hardly be a haven for her husband. They had thought of Switzerland, but Herr Messenger believed that Switzerland would be invaded, and that the United States did not tempt them. No one but I, at that time an unprepossessing youth of 15, ever used their German titles. In the town where I had been born, they were Mr. and Mrs. Messenger. Yet it seemed to me, affectation I dare say, that in this way we should honor the strangers that they were. So that's Trevor's book, novella. And when I started writing this novella, and I thought, how do I start? So I thought I would just imagine my narrator talking to his narrator. I am a 41-year-old woman living by myself. in the same old one-bedroom flat where I have always lived, in a derelict building on the outskirts of Beijing. Apart from a trip to a cheap seaside resort taken with my parents the summer I turned 5, I have not traveled much. I spent a year in an army camp in central China, but other than that, I have never lived away from home. In college, after a few failed attempts to convince me of the importance of being a community member, my advisor stopped acknowledging my presence, and the bed assigned to me was taken over by 5 other girls in the dorm and their trunks. I have not married, and naturally have no children. I have few friends, though as I have never left the neighborhood. I have enough acquaintances, most of them a generation or two older. Being around them is comforting. Never is there a day when I feel that I am alone in aging. I teach mathematics in the 3rd year middle school. I do not love my job or my students, but I have noticed that even the most meager attention I give to the students is returned by a few of them with respect and gratitude and sometimes inexplicable infatuation. I pity those children more than I appreciate them, as I can see where they're heading in their lives. It is a terrible thing, even for an indifferent person like me, to see the bleakness lurking in someone else's life. I have no hobby that takes me outside my flat during my spare time. I do not own a television set, but I have a room full of books at least half a century older than I am. I have never in my life hurt a soul, or if I have done any harm unintentionally. The pain I inflicted was the most trivial kind, forgotten the moment it was felt, if indeed it could be felt in any way. But that cannot be a happy life, or much of a life at all, you might say. That may very well be true. Why are you unhappy? To this day, if I close my eyes, I can feel Lieutenant Wei's finger under my chin, lifting my face to a spring night. Tell me, how can we make you happy? So I'm going to stop there so you can clearly see, I have not married. And I have no hobby. That's what I borrowed from 2 mentors. And here's to all the mentors in the world.